Okay, part two.
Sure thing. Recording.
Yep. Okay, part two. These are the chemicals that you need. I think the bare minimums. You'll probably need other stuff. Some of this you can use to make other things. So anyways, you're going to need acetone. You're going to need heptane. The heptane is actually used to thin out the rubber cement. Rubber cement is a non-conductive material when dry. Works really good for separating things so that you don't have to worry about shorting out stuff. You just put it on, let it dry, and there you go. You got your cell that's separated and good to go. Deionized water. Okay, deionized water, that's great. Probably the easiest thing to use, and I'm pretty sure it works. I have used it in the past, and I haven't noticed a difference between the two. And that is, I use a zero water filter, which you can buy Walmart, Fred Meyer's, probably Kroger's if you're on the East Coast. But the zero water filter takes out all the particulates into the water, so you're just getting water. That's what you want. So I would think that a a well-filtered water such as that would work just fine. Deionized, though, you know for sure that's all you're getting. It's just water. Sodium hydroxide, or a type of lye. Potassium hydroxide is also another type of lye. Both of those can be interchanged in a lot of different chemical things, but they do have different properties, and you can use them actually to intercalate graphite. I didn't know that until I did an experiment, which is actually, if you check out my YouTube channel, all the videos on there, you'll actually come across where I actually did that by accident. I didn't even know I was doing it until I did it. So there's that. Baking soda, sodium bicarbonate. It's the easiest way to get sodium carbonate. You just get baking soda, you cook it. I think it's 200 degrees for about an hour on a sheet of some sort. I used a glass bread container and threw the carbonate under a nice thin layer and stuck it in there for about 2 hours. Actually, I left it in there for a while, but I got sodium carbonate out of it. Magnesium sulfate, Epsom salt. Now, you're definitely gonna need that, but you can also take and make other stuff from that too. What is this that I needed to make with that? It was magnesium chloride. You can make magnesium chloride from magnesium sulfate and table salt, sodium chloride. There's a process to do that, and I'll probably go through and show you guys how to do that at some point. It does work. Probably not the best way to do it, but it does work for experimentational purposes. When you're learning and mixing and figuring things out, those are things you can do to learn, is do some of these other processes. That's why I'm showing the bare minimums, because a lot of this you can turn into something else if you need it. Sodium chloride. We already talked about that. Magnesium sulfate. Okay. Zinc oxide. Now, there are some processes that you'll need to make zinc nitrate. You just figure out you got to dissolve zinc oxide into your nitric acid. You got to heat it. It takes a while. It's actually kind of dangerous. It's easier, less expensive to actually buy the zinc nitrate, but it teaches you something. So I suggest doing that if you're interested in the chemical field. But again, you should use a fume hood, well ventilated area. You don't want to be breathing some of the fumes that come off in some of these reactions. You need your nitric acid and sulfuric acid to do your stage 1 intercalation process in your graphite. You're going to want to have a graphite that's above a 3,2 mesh or higher. Bigger flake, better. Takes a little longer to intercalate it because you got more surface area to push the chemical into. But that's one thing you do. Your muriatic acid, you'll use that for taking some chemicals out of other chemicals, and then you got to wash it and do some other processes. So you're going to need muriatic acid. Glycol, you can use that to make deep eutectic solvents. Some are not so good as the others. You're just going to have to play with it. I haven't found a perfect setup for that yet. but I'm getting there. Urea, that's your a good nitrogen oxidizer for your deep eutectic solvents. You can use that in a lot of different processes there. Urea is very inexpensive to get. I got tons of it, more than I'll probably use in most of my experiments, but that's cool. Aluminum sulfate, that's another one. A lot of this stuff that I got, I originally, before I actually started to dig heavily into the graphite and intercalation and actually making all that stuff, I was working on the crystal cell batteries. They're all over on YouTube. You just do some research, you'll figure out what that's all about. I have a sodium silicate, which is, it's kind of like what they kind of consider it liquid glass. It's not really a glass, but it's pretty cool. It works real well for doing different things. I do believe it is also, because I can use it as a glue in place of the rubber cement if I wanted to, but I do believe it is non-conductive also. So that's your basis for your chemicals. Thank you.